The setup starts with a Grundfos SQ Flex submersible pump, designed to take power from just about any kind of source. Wind turbine, battery, house power, grid power, solar, you name it. It adapts seamlessly to the available power so it can keep pumping safely and reliably for long periods. The power source for the pump in our case is a Grundfos E300i wind turbine, which converts wind into electricity. That power runs to a charge controller, basically a remote brain that smooths out the varying current from gusts and dips in the wind and feeds the pump at the bottom of the well with consistent power. The pump then pushes water up through the bore of the well, past a check valve, basically a one-way gate that keeps water from draining back down the pipe and stirring up the well. From there, it passes through a second check valve in case the first one fails, and then through a pressure gauge that shows how much pressure is in the system. Right beside that is the pressure switch, which senses when water pressure drops, say when I open a tap or when system pressure reaches its limit. It basically tells the pump when to start or stop. A pressure relief valve sits nearby and bleeds off excess pressure, and therefore water, if something malfunctions or overloads the system. From there, the water line splits, one branch going to a 4-gallon pressure tank, the other feeding a hose bib for direct use, a meter to track total water usage, and a drain bib to release all the pressure and drain the system if we ever need to service it. There are a lot of safeguards and backups in these systems to prevent damage, but one of the simplest and coolest is on the SQ Flex itself. A small sensor on the power wire has to stay submerged for the pump to run, meaning the water itself keeps the electricity flowing. If the water level in the well falls below that sensor, the circuit opens and the pump shuts off automatically before it can burn itself out in the absence of the water that cools it. When the water rises again, the circuit closes and the pump starts right back up. It's so simple, so cool. So what about the turbine? Well, in as little as 5 miles per hour of wind, the pump runs and starts filling that 4-gallon pressure tank, which has a sealed air bladder inside. As water enters, the air in that bladder compresses, creating pressure in the line, and that's the pressure that pushes water through any downline plumbing. If I, for example, open the hose bib, the system pressure starts to drop, and the pressure switch tells the pump to top the tank back up. Then, after I close the valve again and the pressure climbs, the switch senses the increase and shuts the pump off until it's needed again. For an off-grid camping setup, that 4-gallon tank is plenty. It gives pressurized water for washing, cooking, or rinsing gear without running the pump non-stop. The system runs silently, uses no fuel, and powers itself entirely off the wind. For agricultural use like growing grapes for wine, I can scale the system without any changes to the turbine or the pump. We'll just replumb it so that the SQ Flex feeds a much larger main storage tank. Big multi-thousand-gallon tanks like that use a float switch, like the kind in a toilet tank or a swimming pool, that stops the pump when the tank's full and restarts it when the water levels drop. From there, water can gravity feed irrigation lines or supply a separate 1,000-gallon buffer tank across the driveway to maintain pressure for the vineyard rows.